In this video, I'm going to show a demonstration of downloading or cloning a repository of code from GitHub that will use Git, the source code management tool. So let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is open Git Bash. If you don't have Git Bash pinned to your taskbar, which you might not, you can get there by clicking on the Start button and then typing Git and Bash. And you want to open up Git Bash. That will open up the Born Again shell, or Bash shell. A bit redundant, but that's what it will open, and I'm just going to make the font bigger to make it a little bit easier to see in the video. When we're in the Born Again shell, we have commands. Almost makes it seem like a Linux or Mac OS Unix style environment. We don't have the full breadth of commands that are available to us on Linux, but we do have the built-ins that are available within Bash, which gives us just enough to be dangerous within Bash. One of the things that we need to notice is where we are on the machine right now, and by that I mean in what directory are we located in. Here we have a prompt that has the username and the machine name, and then the name of the interpreter or the environment that we're using, which is Ming for Windows, 64-bit. And then we have that tilde that you see there. That tilde indicates home directory in a Bash shell or on a Linux or Mac OS machine. When you see the tilde within your prompt, it means that you're in your home directory on that machine, your home, in other words. And you can find that out by typing pwd, print working directory, will show you your home directory. And that's a typical home directory on a Windows machine these days. C users and then your username. If you're not in your home directory, you'll use the cd command. So if it's not the tilde that you see there, you'll use cd for change directory and then just simply type in the tilde key. It's next to the 1. You have to press shift to get there. cd space tilde. And you can type it any time. It's not going to hurt. The worst case scenario is it just does what you saw there. It sends you to the next command line. It doesn't return anything, doesn't error. It just says, oh, okay, well, I'll change directory to your home directory, cd tilde. So you want to make sure that you know where you are, because we're going to be downloading software using the command line. We need to know where that software ends up, because later on I'm assuming you'll want to open that software. Next thing to do then is really to start cloning the software, downloading the software. We have to know the URL that we're going to use to get that software. And I'll show you how to look that up. I'll show you how to find it if it's on GitHub. It's also going to be linked in the description, but let's show it anyway as to how we would get there on GitHub. So within GitHub, you'll see that we have the code or the URL that I provided. And then if you click on code and the little down arrow next to the code button, you'll see the different URLs here. And you can copy that URL to the clipboard if you want, or you can type it out. But that's the URL that you'll clone. There's a couple of other ways to clone it, but this is going to be the way that I'll show here and demonstrate because it's easy to do. Back in Git Bash, then I can start cloning that repository or downloading it with the git clone command. That's actually the git command with the clone subcommand, but it ends up being git space clone. And then you type in the URL of the repository. And now that repository has been cloned onto my machine. I can change directory into there with the cd command. And by the way, tab is your friend, or tab completion. So I started typing in log and then an uppercase A and hit tab, and it filled in, Bash filled in the rest of it for me, saved some typing. Notice now that the command prompt itself has changed, and we see that we are in a directory / log analysis. So the tilde being the home directory, and then / log analysis being the directory within my home directory. And notice also then that Git Bash notices that we are inside of a Git repository and puts the word main there. That's the branch. We won't talk about branching here, of course. Our goal was simply to download that repository, which we've now done. If we want to see what's in that directory, we can get a directory listing with the ls command. And we see there are 3 files. There are a README, a Python script, and a directory called data. If we want that in a little different format, the format that I end up using most often, especially as it relates to cybersecurity, is -LA, because -L will give you a long listing and A will give you all files or archives, and might show some hidden files that are there. Notice the dot files that are there. We don't really need to pay attention to those most times, but force of habit, muscle memory, you'll see me run ls space -LA often in a demonstration. I can make this a little bit wider and rerun that ls-LA. By the way, command recall or command history up arrow is what I just pressed to get that command back. And I can scroll through my other commands that I ran too, up and down with the up and down arrows. Anyway, running ls-LA then shows me the directory listing, also shows me file size and date that it was modified. It just helps. It's helpful at times when you're working with code to see when something was modified or make sure that it was modified. Often we'll find that maybe we're editing the wrong file. We're not actually editing the file that we think we're editing, and ls-LA will help to show that. If I want to see what's in that data directory, I can do a couple different things. I can just do ls-LA of the word data, because that will list what's in the data directory. Or I can cd to data and then run ls-LA there. If I want to go backwards, back to that log analysis directory, that's cd space ... I can also view what's here in that directory by opening up File Explorer on Windows, and then opening up the users directory and navigating basically to that home directory, finding log analysis, that's what I just downloaded, and then viewing it there. So that's the same view, and that might be the view that's more familiar to you than using Bash, but it's basically showing exactly the same thing. So hopefully that was helpful. That was a refresher, I'm sure, for some of you on how to clone a repository, maybe move around a little bit within Git Bash, and hopefully will help you as we move forward and as you're viewing other code and code snippets that you need to download. Thanks for watching.